The House of Representatives also held a zonal public hearing on the review of the 1999 Constitution. I will ask the chairman of the Special Committee on Constitutional Review in the North Central Zone if this is not a duplication of the Senate's efforts. Plus, the Senate will soon begin deliberation on an executive bill that seeks to increase the retirement age of teachers. This is the Hallowed Chambers. I am Jesu Adiri. Teachers in the country are already looking forward to better days as the Senate received an executive bill from President Muhammadu Buhari that seeks to increase the retirement age of teachers from 60 to 65. Their years of service will also be extended from 35 years to 40 years.
The intendment of the bill is to, among other things, seek to, 1, address the discrepancies between first degree and higher national diploma for the purpose of employment in public service establishments, ministries, departments, and agencies of government, and provide sector space in Nigeria. And 2, to identify the problems and provide solutions to end the dichotomy between the two certificates.
Particular issue has been in the front burner for a long time. I recall that in the House of Representatives between 2003 and 2007, this was one bill that was so important and is one way of encouraging our polytechnic graduates. That should not take away from the kind of training they receive, but in fact it's supposed to be a motivation for our polytechnic graduates.
So many issues were thrown up at the public hearing on constitutional review as different interest groups advanced different agenda, all in a bid to enhance inclusiveness and promote the tenets and principles of true federalism in the country. The Senate seems to be getting some knocks as not everyone believes the process is credible. Some even call it a waste of time and resources, and others want the adoption of the 1963 Constitution rather than reviewing the 1999 Constitution. Joining me on the program is Senator Gershon Bassey, representing Cross River South Senatorial District. It's good to have you on the program. Let's start from the just concluded zonal public hearing on the alteration of the 1999 Constitution. Many lawmakers see this as an opportunity to produce a document that will reflect the wishes of we the people. But some prominent Nigerians have come out to discredit these efforts and call for the adoption of the 1963 Constitution. Do you feel this amendment process may become futile, considering the rejection it seems to have gotten?
I think in Nigeria, as in other nations, progress is incremental. What happens is that successive people and citizens build on the efforts of their ancestors and their predecessors. So I think that Nigeria can be no different. We cannot keep going back to the beginning every time. We must build on the successes or the efforts of our predecessors. And I think that's what we're doing.
But they actually believe that the 1963 Constitution is more inclusive than the 1999 Constitution.
So how far back do you want to go? How far back why 1963? Why not go back to 1914? You know, how far back do you want to go? At some point, we have to just say, look, let's just keep moving. Let's move forward. With the experience that we have, the whole effort of a constitutional amendment is to try to make the Constitution a bit more perfect. And perfection is a journey. It's not a one-stop shop. You don't just achieve perfection immediately. You keep striving for it, and that's what we're doing. Whatever our predecessors did, we are building on that. Those that come after us will still build on that, and we'll keep moving towards perfection. And that's the way I see it.
So many issues were raised at the Zonal public hearing, but one of such issues that seem to be dominating public discourse is the call to scrap the Senate as a way of reducing costs, reducing government spending. Is this a valid argument?
Well, I'm not sure. How much really does the Senate cost us? Maybe 1% of our budget at best. And that 1% is not just for the senators alone, it's for the entire institutions, including the various legislative institutions, Public Complaints Commission and so on, that are part of the Senate. And so I think we're backing up the wrong tree. If we're looking at cost cutting, we should be looking at other areas, not the legislature.
And why do you think the attention is always on the Senate?
I hear things like part-time legislature and all that, but what I'm saying is that those costs are really not that significant compared to the amount of money that is spent elsewhere in the national budget. We sit down here every year and we do the appropriations and we see where there's heavy spending, and I think we should be going to the big ticket items, the big areas of overhead expenditure, the big areas of waste, instead of scapegoating the Senate or the National Assembly.
There seems to be a growing discontent among Nigerians about the state of affairs in the country. How should government handle this situation where there is a spike in ethnic and religious tension, insecurity, secessionist agitations, and other forms of violence?
Well, I think government, first of all, the executive you're talking about, for us in the legislature, we've tried to be as honest as possible about this whole thing. You've seen our debates on the floor. People, even within the ruling party, have come out to be extremely candid about the situation in the country. And I think that the executive should take a leaf from the book of APC senators and legislators who have been extremely straightforward and candid about the situation. And if they begin to do that, we will see some progress.
There are also concerns about the country's rising debt profile, but the Senate continues to approve more borrowings for the federal government. Are you worried that the borrowing could cause more economic woes for the country?
Well, like people have said repeatedly, the issue is not borrowing. The issue is how you apply the funds that you borrow. And for me, I think that other nations have borrowed heavily to invest in, of course, the most famous one was the Marshall Plan after the Second World War, which was heavy borrowing. But it was targeted borrowing and invested in areas that made sense. So we need to invest in infrastructure, in areas that will give us a return on our investment.
And don't you think the focus should shift towards revenue-generating agencies by empowering them to do more rather than accumulating debts?
How much revenue can they generate? Nigeria needs, yesterday I raised a motion on the floor of the Senate where we said that Nigeria needs about $3 trillion in order to bridge the infrastructure gap. We need significant amounts of money, and so we need to find that money somewhere in order to. But if the beauty of it is that if it is invested in, say, infrastructure, that alone brings a return on investment, and that return on investment will continue to service the loans and even pay back the loans. So I think the idea of borrowing, we shouldn't get flustered with the idea of borrowing. Rather, how do we apply the funds that we borrow?
You were directly affected by the nationwide EndSARS protest that was later hijacked by hoodlums to wreak havoc. When you did a postmortem of the situation, did you feel this was caused by a failure of government or just a group of criminal-minded people carrying out random attacks?
Well, both, I think. I think in my state, for instance, we are aware that there were failures, serious failures on the part of the state government. Especially when for me, when I interacted with the security heads, there were certain complaints which signified certain failures. But also at the same time, there was criminality involved. For instance, till today, we don't know, we've not received any report of any kind, at least I haven't seen any report of any kind, on the causes of that violence. what caused it. Almost 200 houses were affected in Calabar.
But it seems there's hunger in the land, and you know what they say about a hungry man.
Well, we don't know. That's my point. We don't know what the cause was because the state government has not investigated it in any way, shape, or form. So here you have a situation where the Calabar was invaded and nobody knows what happened. So what do you call that?
So why is there yet to be an investigation?
I'm not the governor. You need to ask the governor.
But you are a member of the government yourself.
No, I don't know. We don't know.
Are legislators from your region making any legislative intervention in this regard?
I have not heard of anything. So as I am now, we don't know whether there's an investigation, whether there's any, we don't know. We don't know what happened there. So nobody seems to know.
And how would you describe your relationship with the state government?
Well, the relationship was quite cordial. Of course, you know that my governor moved from the PDP to the APC just a few days ago. But my relationship had been cordial with him.
Are you also joining the APC like the governor of Cross River State, who recently dumped the PDP and joined the All Progressives Congress? There are speculations that there would be a political realignment among leaders in the state.
No. He says that the reason he joined the APC was to align Cross River State with the center.
Do you believe in his cause?
I don't understand it, so I can't follow him for a reason that I don't understand.